All right, welcome to Photoshop, and today we're going to take a look at vectors, how to open a vector, what is a vector, and then two different ways to import colors or textures into that vector. So what is a vector? So a vector is usually an illustration file. What's cool about it is it's usually a teeny tiny file. Now what we see here is a rasterized version of a vector. Rasterized meaning it's in pixels. When it's in its original format, these lines are completely smooth and everything is not made up of a pixel. And when you import into Photoshop, what's cool about a vector is you can scale it. So it comes as a teeny tiny file and you can make it like 1,000,000 inches or you can make it 1 inch, and it retains the quality no matter how big or how small you make it. So the first thing we're going to do is I have this vector open. I'm going to show you how to open two vectors that we're going to use in this tutorial. So I'm going to hit Command O, and we've got two different kinds here. So you've got watercolor and fish. One is AI for Adobe Illustrator, and this is a newer vector style, which is SVG. And we're going to select both of those and hit open. So what you're going to see here is when you open these, it needs to convert this file. Over here is where we tell it how big of a file we want it to be. So right now it's going to be 18 inches by 300 inches. If I want to make this 10 inches, I can hit 10. It's automatically going to resize it. And we'll just hit OK. We'll make it 10 inches. And then our next file, we can see this is the fish, and this is 50 inches. That's just way too big. So since we made the other one 10, we'll make this one 10. I'll just hit 10, and then it's going to open up that document to the size that we have. So once again, we can see this was a vector. And if we really zoom in, you can see now this has been rasterized. If we were to open this up in Adobe Illustrator, this would be a perfectly smooth line here. But since we've rasterized the image, we've converted it to a pixel format in which Photoshop works. So what we're going to do now is we've got this fish, and we're going to fill in this fish with this watercolor texture that we have here, just to give it a different look. Now, this image has a whole bunch of little different sections, and we could come in here with the magic wand, and we could do a couple different ways to select that. And this is what's funky about Photoshop, is there's usually 3 or 4 different ways to do the exact same thing. So I have the magic wand tool, and if I click on one little single area, notice it's going to just select that area. And if I hold Shift, it's going to keep adding every time I click into a new area. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to hit Command D to deselect. What I can do is click off this contiguous off. And now if I click on black, everything that is black is going to be selected. That's a whole lot easier than trying to go through here and just select every single one of those. We're going to hit Command D and get rid of that. The last way to do this is over here in our layers palette, we have this layer here. If I hold down the Command key on a Mac and I click on it, it automatically selects all those black areas and we are good to go. So whether you do the contiguous with the magic wand or just kind of command click with a Mac or control click on a PC, it's automatically going to select those areas of the subject. Now what we want to do is we want to keep that selection. This is kind of the trick of how to do this. So what we're going to do next is come over here to this watercolor file that we have, and we are going to hit Command A, which is select all, Command A or Control A, select all, and then Command C, which is copy, or you could just come up here and hit copy up here. And then we're going to go back over to the fish file. Now remember, this area that we want has been selected. Then you're going to come up and go to Edit, Paste Special, Paste Into. And what that's going to do, it's going to paste the watercolor file into the selection, which is the black areas. And bam, just like that, we've put that file or that color into the fish. Now, I'm not a big fan of this being light and this being dark here, but we'll fix that in just a second. So I'm going to hit Command Z and we're going to undo that. There's another way to do this exact same thing. So we can just come in here And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to command select all or copy it, or we could just simply use the move tool if we wanted. And I can move this over to the fish, and then I'm going to hold shift down to place it in the center. And I think I'll move this around because I know it's going to need to be moved. And this is the trick. Remember back here, let's turn this off. We're going to have this selected here. So we're going to hit the command control. We want the selection of the fish. We're going to do that. But then we're going to click on this top layer. And you can see the selection carries over. And then we're going to create a mask with that selection. And bam, doing the exact same thing. By creating a mask, it's made a selection and then pasted this inside of here. Now, if you want to move this color around, you can. So what we need to do is come in here. We need to unlink these two images. So now they're going to be independent. We need to turn off this bottom layer, and we need to select the watercolor texture. So this is going to allow us to move this, but not the mask. So now when I come in here, you can see that the texture below it is moving. However, the mask is not. So those are two different ways to kind of move your image around. And if you did the copy and paste method and you wanted to move your image, you can simply come in here. You need to just do the same thing and unlink your images. So hopefully that's been helpful. You learned a little bit today about kind of some copy and paste functions and vectors. If you have any comments and questions, you can leave those below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe.